You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Hello everyone, Funker here. I'll be walking you through the process of buying our special StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 items. The 5th edition of the National Team-based tournament will offer special in-game items and an exclusive t-shirt. Thanks to our partners, Matcherino and Blizzard, you'll be able to show your support for your country and the tournaments inside and outside of game. Here is how you do it. First, connect to matcherino.com/NW5. You will be warped into this page. Click on Sign in the top right and choose your preferred account to link to Matcherino. It can be your Battle.net, Facebook, Google, Twitch, or even Twitter accounts. Now, scroll down the page and select the package you want. In terms of in-game items, you can buy any of the 32 national portraits to represent the country you love, support, or wish you were born in. I see you South Korean portrait buyers. These portraits are at $2.47 and 30% of this will go to increase the prize pool of Nation Wars 5. You can get as many portraits as you want, but if you are a true hardcore fan of Nation Wars, we got you covered. The complete bundle for StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 will cost you $18.59 and will offer the entirety of the 32 national portraits as well as the 4 emoticons and 3 sprays created for the tournament. All of those are designed by the talented Nicolas Chossois. Once again, 30% of the price will go to the prize pool. Last but not least, if you want to represent StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 in real life, like a boss, you can get your exclusive t-shirt designed by Nicolas Chossois for $23.57. Once you selected the item you want, click on it. Select your region in the top right, the quantity you wish to acquire, add a contact email, type in the amount of money you need to pay for your items, and click on deposit. From there, you'll be able to use your PayPal account to add the required funds to your Matcherino profile. Once it's done, go back to the Matcherino page, check the tiny box to agree with the terms of service, and click on purchase. You made it! As the stretch goal will get closer, some surprises will be unlocked for you guys. Visit the main page of Nation Wars on Matcherino to check this out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to visit the description section of the page. You'll find plenty of useful information about all the process of buying Nation Wars 5 items. Enjoy the StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5!
Hello and welcome back with us for the winners match of Group USA. And I'd like to add, if this event is possible, it's thanks to our partners, Omen by HP and Matcherino. And now, Netherlands, Sweden. Wow, did we expect this, Sweden, to come here?
Not Sweden, no. I mean, many people expected Netherlands to be in the winners match, but Sweden was a bit of a surprise, and even more so because they didn't need to bring on an ace.
Yeah. It's a surprise, but definitely not an upset. Like we said many times, the Swedish lineup is very, very good. But of course, the same thing goes for the German lineup. So it was a match that could have been won by both. But I think we gave, in the end, at first we overlooked Sweden, but then we started giving them a lot of credits in the end, saying like, this is actually possible. All of these guys can defeat anyone on the German team, and that proved to be the case. It's a great performance by them.
So let's take a look at the Dutch lineup here. Obviously, Kevin knows them very well.
Well, I mean, everyone knows them very well. It's kind of the point, is that they're all fantastic players.
Do you have any fun facts about one of these players?
They still haven't they still haven't fixed this graphic.
Oh my god.
That's the wrong capital, guys, last time. If this is not fixed by the quarterfinals, I'm absolutely done. Fun facts about the players. I mean, I already shared my story about Harston being known as Little Kevin in the Warcraft 3 days, but yeah, obviously he's grown tremendously ever since, and he's bigger than me now. Other than that, I think it's funny that both Harston and Utomo got their biggest victory out of their career in Shanghai. I mean, what are the odds of that, right? Shanghai, not exactly the capital of StarCraft 2 esports, but it's pretty cool to see that both those Dutchies were able to conquer Shanghai once upon a time. It's just a great team, great guys, fantastic StarCraft players. I'm ready, man. I want to see them go up against Sweden.
Okay, so they will play against Team Sweden. And we've just seen sort of a really good shape. He took 2 games, and Namshar as well. Well, he
took one.
Yeah.
And Xanster took one.
But he took a big one. I mean, he finally got that 0 removed from his Elysialag. That must feel good.
And Xanster to the last point to lead Sweden in this winners match.
All players looking like they're playing very solid today, even sort of in Xanster. You know, they're not in Europe, they're in Korea, look to be in good spirits, and a lot of laughs, and also just looking to be in super good form. Even sort of, you know, you could really argue was almost supposed to take that Nidus Worm game to continue his streak. So this is looking really good.
Yeah, this is going to be a hard-fought battle for my Dutch boys, that's for sure. There is no way that you can still overlook the Swedish team after what they just shown us before. But they're all Zerg. I don't think the Dutch guys are necessarily bad against Zerg. There is one thing that I am actually a little bit worried about, and that is, of course, Xanster and sort of are both in Korea, which means that these games will be played on the American server. And this is not a whine by any means, but I do believe that it's a little more difficult to play Terran or even Protoss with a slightly higher latency than it is to be Zerg. Because Zerg is often the more aggressive move, and I'm not saying a move, but it is often the right way to go into the battle. So that is one thing that I am actually a tiny bit worried about, but I still believe the Dutch can get the job done here.
Okay, well, we were quite wrong about our predictions in the last series, and let's check out what about this series. What are casters' predictions?
Everyone for the Netherlands.
I mean, that went wrong in the Germany match. Now you guys are starting to make me worried. Couldn't at least one of you guys voted for Sweden or something?
Well, I hesitated. Well, the Netherlands, they're still a really strong lineup here. And so 4-2 and 4-4-3. So we all kind of expect a close game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm honestly not even sure like who I expect to be able to refuse Sweden the ace match, because, you know, I give them a 4-2 instead of 4-3. But it's in my mind, I think of all the players, and like Hearthstone or Uthermal could do it. Optimus looks really good though in TVP. I don't know what CVZ looks like. Like, I don't know. It just feels like Netherlands is going to be even more powerful than Germany.
You wanted a fun fact about one of the Dutch players. This is pretty well known if you know him quite well. So we've got our voting results coming in as well. People apparently think it's very close. But I don't know if you know the game that you can play on iPhone, iPad. I'm sure that it's in the Google store as well. But it's a game called Geometry Dash. It's literally one of the most infuriating games that has ever been created. I once upon a time made the terrible mistake of installing it on my phone. It consumed my life. Like, I couldn't enjoy anything other than this stupid game. And there's one level where everyone just quits because it's not doable. And then there is Uthermal, who's literally the best player on planet Earth in that game. He says he's not. I don't believe him. I think he is. Apparently, he's part of like the Geometry Clash clique that make like private levels that are even harder or something. Like, I don't know. He's his mentor. He's obsessed with this game, and he's stupid good at it.
Yeah, I've watched him playing once on stream. He was really impressive.
Yeah, I know, he's ridiculous. He's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I have no idea how you can be that good in both StarCraft and Geometry Dash, because my skills definitely didn't transfer.
Okay, so the viewers think it's going to be a close game as well. Now we know the starting players for both teams.
Ooh.
It's going to be Xanster against Hearthstone.
Okay.
Cool. And the map?
It's going to be on Blackpink.
There you go. Perfect. All the intel.
Okay, that's rather surprising first match. I didn't necessarily see that one coming, but Blackpink is pretty straightforward map. I definitely don't think there's a massive advantage for Protoss or Zerg either way. I think that's a map that is in a way a little straightforward and that could potentially play out well for Hearthstone. Because Xanster, he's not like a gimmicky Zerg, but he is the type of Zerg that is very active and always looks for openings. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, what can you truly make happen on Blackpink that we haven't seen before, or that you catch your opponent off guard?
It's going to be tough. I'm thinking, you know, specifically as to why Xanster did so well was, of course, the Archon drop snipe, which shouldn't happen more than once, even if you face Showtime again. But then also that it is Eastwatch, and or was Eastwatch, sorry, and that he could get a lot of these Ling run bys. His style will seem to very much so fit the map. Blackpink, as you said, a little more direct, a little more normal.
And here we go for the first game of this best of 7. It's Xanster and Hearthstone on Blackpink.
You want to do this one?
All right, because you're putting me on the spot over here on the left bottom side of Blackpink. We're looking at the main base of our Dutch Protoss. It is Hearthstone.
In the top right, what the German flag? It's like, I don't know many European flags, but I think I got this one, guys. In the top right has the blue Zerg. For Sweden, it is Xanster.
Maybe he's got something to tell us. I mean, we saw Hero Marine represent Italy at the Intel Extreme Masters. What else is possible, guys? Maybe Zenster has some German ancestors. You never know.
Okay, just I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew something about European flags. All right, so Blackpink, ZVP already went over that Zanster just should not get such an easy game. You know, in the interview he said, like, I just felt like it was an okay game, it was an easy game, even though it was an interesting one for us to watch, the maneuvering, the run-bys. You could really see, and he had confirmed that it was so easy after he was allowed to drone, get to high without any damage done. Harsum, I mean, I hope he was watching those games. I assume he kind of was, and that he's just going to, know, like, okay, don't do that. Like, don't lose my Warp Prism, provide a little bit of aggression, and be prepared for run-bys, perhaps.
Even if they wouldn't have been playing next, I don't think there is any European Protoss out there that's not watching when Showtime is playing. That's just kind of the rule. If you are a European Protoss and Demauer is on television, then you tune in and you watch. Because more often than not, there is plenty to learn. Weston decides to get his second pylon in his main, will most likely drop the Stargate all the way in the back of his main base. Zenster can be a tricky Zerg sometimes. He has a couple of weird aggressive builds up his sleeve, but I'm not expecting him to go too wild or crazy here in the first game of this best of 7.
I know he had a build that was really quite clever and just a little bit fewer on the drones, but he still got the hatchery. But it was back when Lings could also be dropped in Overlords on hatchery tech, so I don't know what he's been developing lately. I'm sure he has a few, but he's not going to show them here today. Feeling confident in the macro game as his third is placed down.
A very fast Stalker follow-up by Harsum, so he's not going to open up with 2 or even 3 adapts like we often see. Instead, he's going to use the Stalker to maybe potentially snipe this Overlord very early on, and he's not showing the Stargate. Now, of course, we know that the Stargate is going down, and that's not a surprise, but if you are Zenster and there is a Stalker being produced and you don't see a Stargate, you're like, wait a minute, like, is he dropping a Robo and a Twilight in the back of his base? Is he going to 8-gate all in me? Like, what's happening here for weird shenanigans? We know it's normal, but this is not something that Zenster knows.
Yeah, a little concerning. We'll see how he reacts. I guess it's he gets the evolution chamber a little bit earlier than some other Zergs. Maybe we'll see. Okay, well, there we go. As I said it, he did it. Cool. And unfortunately, this Overlord, it looks like it's just going to die.
Yeah, there are a couple of Lings, though. Ling is going to try to enter into the main base, but will not get the scout. If I'm Zenster right now, I am starting to get a little bit worried, but he may have caught a glimpse there of the Oracle. A little bit sloppy by Harsum. I mean, there was already a single Spore on the way. Can we take a look at all mineral lines real quick? Okay, so no Spore in the natural, but of course there are 2 Queens.
Right.
Main base has 1 Spore, third base has no Spore.
It seems like this is the most clever way Zerg can defend against an Oracle. It's a Spore Crawl in the main, Queen's the natural, and the third just doesn't have drones. And then, of course, when you do get drones, you place on a Spore Crawler as well. So Harsum does his due diligence. He checks every base, but he is much more keen on keeping that Oracle alive. And now we have Resonating Glaives being chronoed out.
Yeah, this is a cool build. Something that Showtime does quite often as well. Just follow it up with a bunch of adepts. He's only on 2 gateways at this point, correct? I'd like to see if you want to be aggressive with... Okay, there is gateway number 3. Never mind. So I was about to say, if you want to be aggressive with your Resonating Glaives, you kind of need at least 3 gateways. But Zenster has a perfect response on paper. He drops the Bailing Nest. I would say it's right on time because the adepts are obviously not on their way just yet. 22 Lings with +1 melee. I think Harsum is actually going to have a tough time, A, dealing damage, B, perhaps keeping his third base alive, especially if he would somehow end up losing this Oracle. Now, of course, the Oracle can be very, very useful if you just keep it at home. It has a lot of energy, so it's going to do a fantastic job against the Ling Swell or the Ling Flood that Zenster is going for. But even if Harsum shades out with 9 adepts and he doesn't get any damage done, that's very problematic as well for Protoss.
Yes, it is. This is looking really concerning. I mean, if Harsum just stays at home, I suppose Zenster is dedicating a ton to Lings. He would be down in workers. But what is the likelihood of that happening without Harsum actually seeing how many Lings are being produced? His Oracle currently just in the middle of the map, not helping in scouting, not helping back at home. And there the Adepts go.
Yeah, they do have Resonating Glaives, but it's very important. Like, if all of these Adepts would shade into a corner, they can still fight. Bailing's morphing as well. Where are those mains? Defensive, I assume?
Defensive.
Oh my goodness, I like what Zenster is doing here. But it is important for Zenster that he gets a lot of damage done here. Where is that Oracle? You need a couple of Warpins as quickly as possible. The Oracle does have an insane amount of energy, though. And he spots the Bailings. All right, this is very good news for Harsum.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you shouldn't shade here. But they have been drawn back into the natural, so he can maybe just get away. The third base does not die. high. Probe counts is being kept level at only 3 down. Shield battery really helping out. I think it's about to die too.
Banelings though.
Oh, these adepts are surrounded. And the Banelings do get connections right before the Shade finishes. Oh, right as it finishes.
Wow, now all the Lings are out of position, and he somehow still gets a little bit of economic damage done here. It's at least 3 drones. The drones are not mining. Maybe you can get a few more here if you pay attention. But in the end, he kept his Nexus alive. And that is the most important thing. How many kills on the Oracle? I say 17.
Oh, so close. The Oracle helping out with that much energy was huge. Instant reaction from him. It would have been a little bit better, of course, if like Showtime he had just kept it there. But really, it could have been a much, much worse situation.
Yeah.
Not seeing the Banelings, not having the Oracle respond immediately. Those could have been just game-ending moves. Instead, the game continues on. And now Harsum got a couple shield batteries on his way to Immortals.
You gotta love his position, and Harsum is of course a very experienced Protoss player, as Zenster is gonna follow this up with 2 expands at the same time. But Harsum knows, if you make that amount of Zerglings and you don't get economic damage done, Harsum will always be ahead. Even if he didn't do that much on the other side of the map, he lost very little at home. And, you know, he even, like, obviously he traded with some Banes, and then he got a couple drones, a little bit of lost mining time. 3 drones and lost mining time may not seem like a big deal, but against a Zerg that made, I mean, close to 40-50 Lings in this game so far, that's a pretty big deal as well.
Xanster was down in drones by even a significant amount until just now, as he gets up to 64 on these 4 to 5 bases. So he is recovering in the quickest time possible, but it is still going to be falling a little bit behind. Harrison now grabbing a Templar Archives. Going to get 2 charge and +1.
That's a lot of additional drones on the way. So Zenster is going to go up to 80 drones. And what is important to mention, though, is that because he invested in +1 melee very early, he's going to have +2 pretty freaking quick. And +2 is terrifying, because +2 Banelings, one-shot workers. So we could potentially maybe see a Dropper Lord eventually as well, even though he doesn't have Overlord speed.
Yeah.
But even if you just elevate a couple of Zerglings into the main base and you morph them into Banes. Oh, wow, he does have it. All right. So we could potentially see some Baneling bombs coming down from the skies. And with that massive economy that Zenster has, if Harsum just sits back, loses drones, defends, or excuse me, loses probes, loses probes, then eventually I feel that the swarm is going to be too much to handle. So it's important that Harsum gets a little bit of economic damage done as well.
Yeah, I am a little worried. As cool as it was that Harsum did not die to what could have been a bad scenario, and that he did do something with the Adepts, Xanster responded quite quickly in how to recover. He went for double expansions, he went for a ton of drones, he was tagging the Warp Prism with Lings, so he knew that they weren't dropping off Zealots or getting into risky positions. Now here's the real test, however, as the army does move out. Storm is not here, but it's still beefy. It's got a couple of force fields as well. Is Xanster going to be prepared?
I love it. Well, all right. I mean, at least he pulled a couple of units out of position, but the Hydras were looking for that prism, and they find it. Now, there is another prism over here, but of course, this makes life a little bit easier for Zenster. He can now use all of his units on this side of the map. Banelings coming in from every angle, but there is a stasis ward.
That's a kind of really great stasis ward. I mean, the Banelings would have only been so effective against the split Adept, the Immortals, and the Archons, but it would have been pretty helpful. The Warp Prism is in a very dangerous position. In fact, the Archon goes down. He wasn't paying attention fast enough, and another Warp Prism dies, but 16 drones have gone down so far. Harsum starting to get kind of splintered here. He's losing Immortals. They're not protected by anything. I mean, they're not dying, but Xanster has a fair advantage.
Recall those hurt Immortals.
Oh, okay.
I mean, probably would have gone down anyway.
Yeah.
This could have been a lot better for Harsum. In the end, I don't think it was a total disaster, because he did kill 23 drones, and he's getting the hatchery on the right bottom side. So he did a good job, but it almost felt that Harsum was doing a few too many things at once, and he wasn't focusing on the key units, which were, in this case, both Warp Prisms. Because if either of those Prisms survive, I believe he can get way more done there.
Yeah, the second Warp Prism, the reinforcing one, was going to be quite scary. It's really great that Xanster was able to nab it. Now he's on his way to Hive. He did lose a 5th base, but he also lost drones, so 4 base 68 kind of makes sense. It's not initially a bit of a counter, but without any Banelings, the shield battery and a cannon, just no probes really went down.
Yeah, it's funny that he was morphing Banes on the north side, while if he would have had a couple of Banelings over here on the south side, even if the Banelings, like this 4th base for Harsum, there's this awkward little, behind the mineral lines, if you just put a Baneling there and you explode it, you can often get a lot of workers as well in this little corner. Super frustrating to deal with.
So Harsum, I mean, they both kind of reset right there. They got he got some drone kills, but then he also lost a lot of his army. He lost his Warp Prism, so once again, Xanster maybe feeling a bit comfortable getting back up to 77 drones, although losing a few of them. Also retaking his 5th. Well, I guess he was quite late to the Hydra, so it makes sense that his range was late as well.
Well, these random zealots are actually getting some work done. I mean, they got a couple banelings on the south side. They're getting a few more drones. Additional mining time being lost. Obviously, Harstem's army is very powerful. He has double robe at this point, so you squeeze out a few more Immortals. You get a few more Archons, and then you do kind of want to go. The Hydra count isn't super high at this point. Adreno glands being researched as well. And I do think that Harstem can be very fortunate that we didn't see a single Overlord with baneling drops, because I honestly feel that could have been very, very powerful for Zenster.
So shield battery here. In fact, the Zealot is even holding the wall, so they do get through.
Oh, no.
Immortal's going to die, and these are still +2 lings.
Yep.
So very annoying for Harstem to deal with. Zanster also has a ton of creep
He's going to
spread.
lose a lot of probes against this. Look at
Yes,
these
he
probes
is.
in the natural. The Oracles are going to help out in the main base a little bit, but these Lings, like you said, these are +2 Zerglings. They kill everything so quickly.
Wow.
Who needs Baneling drops when you can just run by and get 18, 19 probe kills regardless? Now these Banelings are going to try to connect with the probes as well. They get close. +2 Baneling?
Whoa, pretty close. You know, Zanster, last time he went on a Hive, he did get the upgrades, but he also had the economy to get Aspire as well. Hydra's being left behind. Now he's not really getting to another tech. There's no Lurkers, there's no Spire, there is just Hydras, Lings, and Banelings. He's going to have one heck of a surround concave engagement to win this.
He is getting 29 Banelings. A couple of Banes are going to connect with the first few Zealots. Is there a Prism out on the map, though? That's the only thing that I'm asking myself right now. No War Prism. I always find it's very hard. I think the army of Harstem is more powerful as long as Banelings don't connect with the heart of those High Templars. But finishing a game without a Prism, it always seems so freaking difficult.
Yeah, I think he definitely needs a War Prism. He is cranking out another Immortal. Maybe it's after that. He's also going on to so much creep spread. Zanster doesn't just have the speed advantage on his Banelings. He also has the the time to actually decide how he's going to take an engagement, but letting his Hydras bathe in storms. The Banelings are going to go up against the wall of Archons now. Oh god, they actually killed most of them, but they don't reach the High Templars.
They got close there. A couple High Templars did go down, I believe. 10 more Banes are morphing. If Zenster can connect the Banelings with the High Templars, there's absolute hope here. He's going to try to flank this army. If there was a Prism, I honestly believe this is over here. Without the Prism, we'll see. A couple Storms do get baited, but Zenster is going to lose a lot of workers, though, and Zealots are just ravaging mineral lines all over the map.
Yeah, always picking on that 1/5 base. The base here, the 4th base goes down. High Templar is still barely alive. Not anymore. They're also out of storms for the most part. And I agree, if there was a War Prism, this is already definitely game, but instead Zealots are running from across the map. As it is, still Zanster struggling. GG.
Wow, Harstem gets the 1-0 here for the Netherlands after a pretty solid and interesting game on Blackpink, where on paper he had a very good start, but then there was that fight where it was perhaps almost getting a little too flashy. Drop in the main, warp in at the 4th, like send Zealots to the 5th, have a Prism, and then suddenly all Prisms die. You're like, uh-oh, was this good enough? But yeah, he still got a reasonable amount of drones and got the job done.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how without the War Prism, both in that final fight he was able to win, but also just in general. When he lost the 2 War Prisms, the game continued on, and we were like, where does this stand? There was a ton of creep spread. There was no War Prism for harassment, yet he still had Zealots running across the map.
The random Zealots.
The random Zealots, exactly. You know, the 2 that got to the 5th base just at the end of the fight, and then there was the couple drones over there. Some decent scouting done with it too. I think any other Protoss is like, no War Prism, nothing on the map. Like, I'm just going to macro here, and that would have been a mistake by him.
Yep. This was, of course, that first moment that we mentioned. The first Prism goes down, and that second Prism was trailing quite far behind. This one Archon was going to try to save it for a little while, but Harstem did do a very good job, and that stasis was pretty big, by the way. But yeah, he did a really good job in sending units everywhere. The Zealots are the type of unit, of course, that you don't always have to look at. I mean, I made an A-move comment before. Zealots are kind of an A-movie unit as well, of course. You just send them in, they slice everything up to bits, and as a Zerg, especially if you have Hydras, you kind of need to pay attention to your Hydras. But if there are Zealots in 3 random locations, then it becomes very difficult for the Zerg, because how do you start a step at all 3 locations at once? You can't really do that.
Yeah, there's the cleanup, but here's the, is it the final battle? It's getting close to it.
Yeah, this is where the Hydras take a little shower.
Yeah, they just stayed there. I think it was always going to be a problem. It would have come down to that classic, like, maybe probes died, but then the army wins. But the probes did not die, and the army still won for Harstem. So Zanster always in a tough position, not able to get that very clean, race up to Hive with Aspire like he did versus Showtime.
Yep. Zealots, and a few more Zealots all over the map, as eventually all the Archons did get picked off. There's a few banelings did connect
gosh.
with the Zealots, but good game by Harstem. Not an easy victory, obviously. We just saw Zenset take out Showtime. Now Harstem gets a pretty important 1-0 on the board for the Netherlands. And now our question, of course, is who is going to be the next player for Sweden?
Who's the next Zerg? I mean, that's all you got to prepare for as these guys from the Netherlands. Harstem has some very strong teammates to back him up as well in case he does get bamboozled by a Ling run by or banelings he didn't scout. Who's it going to be, Sort of or a Namshar? Wish I had the map.
Yeah, but I think there's a valid argument for both. I honestly don't think it makes much of a difference. They're probably like communicating with each other, so you want to go? Or
yeah,
it's like, yeah, well,
That's
whoever feels it the most. I think this is one of the, ones that is just very tough to predict for us. Namcha had a good showing against Showtime, even the game on Backwater. I think at one point he was really getting a lot of damage done with his drops. So maybe he feels good enough. Let's see. Yeah.
Okie dokie then. Yeah, I'm sure. I do think that's, as far as like Hajin asked, like, do these guys have a lot of different styles? Like, they all can do macros. Answer can do a little bit of cheese, but he actually didn't so far. But it's really when it comes to my perception of their compositions. Namshar is just usually so roach heavy, but he has been playing with Hydras, Ling Hydra specifically.
Yep, of course, and obviously he loves his lurkers as well, and he definitely takes some notes out of like Nerdchill's playbook as well with the non-stop drop. I think he looked at the game and he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna do that as well." They actually had they had a really epic game just the other day, and I forgot what it was, but I'm like 99% sure that Rifkin was casting Namchar versus Harstem. I think the score was 1-1. It was a online tournament. Don't ask me which one. Final game was on Catalyst, and I remember I was watching the game, and Namcha was doing his thing, dropping money in the bank, kind of like against Showtime, but then way further ahead. And I'm like, that game is over. So I was like, I changed my clothes. I think I was getting ready to hop to the studio today. And I come back and I see a tweet. Harstem is like, woo, really sick, got the job done, boys. And I'm like, what? I was like, no. I go through the VOD and I look back and I was like, unbelievable. I can't believe that he won that game. But it was a very, very close game between these two on Catalyst. So.
Okay.
And that's just a couple days ago.
Yeah, that was probably on maybe even yesterday.
Not yesterday, like 3, 4, 5 days ago. Maybe, I mean, time kind of flies when you sit in Paris and you sit in an apartment that's not yours and you go back and forth to the studio, like whether it was 2 days ago or 7, I'm not exactly sure because the days are kind of blending in with each other, but it was recent.
Okay. Well, that much we know. So that might put Harstem in a good mood going up against Namshar, but Namshar has shown that he's developed as a player, macro, micro, build order choices. He's getting farther and farther in tournaments. He's also, I think, updating his style. I really thought it wasn't just that he was, roach heavy. He was just playing like a super old ZVP that always seemed to just not do as well as you would think. Now it's updated. Now it's new, sleek. It got the Hydra buff. Well, now they've been nerfed, I suppose, but the point is that they always look a little bit cleaner, and the lurkers can be a lot of fun when he adds in those drops, which he was just cut short a little bit by Showtime.
I mean, it was sad as well, because on Backwater, he had adaptive talents on the way as well, and if you have some time and you get adaptive talents, and obviously these lurker fights become a lot more doable. You can even start thinking of like just running into Protoss armies like we've seen some other Zergs do. Changes everything. But I agree with you. Namcha truly is a player that has evolved. He also is a player that looks very critical at himself and he likes to work on weaknesses. I think I had a little chat with him in Barcelona for the WSG qualifier a couple months ago, where he said he kind of just went back to basics and he got rid of a lot of his very bad habits that he felt in his mechanics that were really holding him back. And he said, obviously, he's like, I realized I was going to suck for 2-3 weeks, but I believe that this was a proper investment in myself and just eventually getting better. And just think of stuff as updating hotkeys, camera hotkeys, that kind of stuff. And he really does feel that he still is nowhere near his full potential.
Yeah, I think that is true. Occasionally you see these glimpses of his play, and it's very, very nice. We're going on to Eastwatch here for this next ZVP. In the bottom left, as the red Protoss for the Netherlands, he is Harstem.
And on the right top side of Eastwatch, we're looking at the main base of the Zerg that's representing Sweden. Sveriga, it's Namchar. That's probably terrible Swedish pronunciation.
I'm sure it was perfect. Someone who's never heard the language.
You've heard Swedish.
I mean, I'm sure I've heard it.
Swedish sounds awesome. It's actually one of the most pleasant languages to listen to. Even if you don't speak it. It's just so happy. It's like, hey y'all, Sveriga.
I was going to say, I feel like more often I hear bad impressions or bad accents in movies of like the Swedish masseuse or something like that,
The Swedish masseuse? I'm not familiar with that one. We all know the Thai, but...
No, totally, man. Like a Swedish massage is kind of the original stereotype of the big, beefy woman.
I have never seen that before.
No?
No.
Jared, I'm trying to think of the one movie or actress that I'm like visually envisioning right now, but hopefully someone on maybe Twitter can back me up and prove that I'm not just crazy. I swear it's true.
I mean, I believe they did recently add a Swedish character to Overwatch, correct? Ingrid.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought
she's
she was
Swedish.
I don't know.
She's a mechanic, a healer.
That makes sense.
I saw the trailer. Looked cool. And then I was like, all right, back to StarCraft.
I was going to say, you actually managed to watch more Overwatch than I did.
Nah, I mean, the trailers are very well made.
Cool.
They're pretty adorable to watch.
They are very good.
And then you move on.
Blizzard makes good cinematics.
Alrighty, so curious to see what Hearthstone is going to bust out. It's very likely he's going to switch it up quite a bit because Resonating Glaives is obviously something that's very, very timing sensitive. I don't think he was super happy with the amount of damage that he did, but he was probably quite happy that during his little attack he was able to still stabilize at home. And that's of course one of the powers that the Stargate provides you. That Oracle, even if it didn't kill drones, it killed 18 links, kept the Nexus alive. So he's happy with it, but Eastwatch is such a massive map that opening up with the same thing just wouldn't be as effective because it takes the adepts way longer to travel to the other side of the map.
Now, Namshar's teammate, who just lost, Xanster, was able to take a very convincing ZVP on this map in his own way, his own peculiar way with the Ling upgrades that just worked extra special. But Namshar never really known for his Ling usage. Ling Hydro, that is what he's been doing. Lurkers, sure. The drops, sure. But as far as countering, run-buying, microing, it's not really what I imagine when I hear Namshar's name. So how is he planning on using Eastwatch to his advantage?
Yeah, I actually think that if you have to go up against Namshar, this is one of the better maps to probably go up against him when he does like those Roach-heavy compositions. Yeah. I mean, Roach is kind of clunky, fat units as well. There's a lot of choke points on this map. Obviously, you won't get surprised by Roaches because it also takes Roaches a long time to travel to the other side of the map. So I kind of have the feeling that we can get ready for a potential very long game and a Lurker-heavy game. But maybe we'll see some of those heavy Lurker, Hydra, perhaps even Roach drops as well coming out of Namshar this game. Because it makes sense for it. This is not a map where you can just steamroll or overrun his opponents. There's simply way too many choke points for it.
I do think that Namshar is still a good Zerg, and if you're a good Zerg, then you get to set up positioning ahead of time so that you can just kind of move in. And I think that Eastwatch can provide some of those opportunities when you have Lurkers coming in from the right side, Hydras from the left, and get the Protoss a bit shocked. So there's a lot of brush here, there's a lot of chokes. That could certainly happen, but Hearthstone, I feel, is going to be the one kind of dictating the pace of this game. If he does anything that's aggressive, not so much what Namshar does, as he is going what it seems to be the exact same build he was doing versus Showtime.
Interesting moment to make 16 links if you're Namshar now.
Yeah,
I kind of wonder. That's like not the right amount to truly do a lot of damage with. Unless he goes for a very random Bailing Bust. Maybe just like, not a Bailing Bust to end the game, obviously, but maybe just blow up the pylon and try to get a little bit of economic damage done. But it feels weird because, I mean, with the Oracles... Okay, well, that's actually kind of sloppy there, but the Oracle's here as well, so that's going to save the day. Yeah. Obviously, these units want to stand back-to-back to make sure that the links can get a surround off, but, I mean, that's still 16 links that don't achieve a lot.
He was getting the exact timed lair, and that's why I was like, well, I guess he's doing the same thing. And then he went into the Lings, and then he went into a Bailing Nest. And I also don't really know what the Lings are so much about. They do not do anything. Hearthstone just calmly getting to his third, adding on now a Twilight Council and a Forge. Now we even have a Sentry here in case it was needed, but all right, there's the Hydralisk Den. I mean, I do wish Namshar in some of those Showtime games had Banelings. Well, the last one, I suppose, on Backwater. They're explosive, they're fun, they get the High Templars out of the equation sometimes when nothing else can, and maybe this game he'll add in those centrifugal hooks.
Maybe he was looking to just pick off a couple of probes that are being transferred from the natural to this third base on the north side, because sometimes Protoss is very greedy and they literally have 2 units standing at the Nexus. And then maybe with a handful of lanes you can pick off probes one by one that are being transferred. That's not a bad move. And it also kind of felt almost like a ZVZ-esque kind of move where it's like, hey, here are the Zerglings, you know, if I were you, look at your side of the map and maybe panic a little bit, and at the same time he's getting away with very quick Hydras. These Lings do find a random Immortal. Can Force Field save the day? It's going to get very close. Nope.
Maybe there's a shield battery. He almost walked to it, but not close enough. That's a pretty good grab.
Lings just paid for themselves.
Yeah, they did. So I said interesting, not because of the Immortal being surrounded, but because we have both attack upgrades. on the way. I feel like there was even a few months where this was super popular to do, just like the hell with Carapace, but then it kind of fell back into like faster +1 or just +1 and then Carapace 2. So potentially very aggressive maneuvers, as he also does get the centrifugal hooks.
He gets a 4th base at 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
Is he just trying to anticipate Namshar being kind of that macro late game Zerg who waits for his lurkers before he moves out?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, he is getting a lot of gates, so potentially you could say, like, isn't he kind of safe? And of course, I know he has been scouting with his oracles as well. It just still feels very, very early. And Namshar is getting only attack upgrades, so it almost gives us the idea that he just wants to start trading soon, right? Maybe it's one of these Zerg styles where you just non-stop trade with Hydra Bane. Now, once again, it's hard to sometimes attack here. Maybe if you kill the rocks there on the right side, it becomes a little more open. Now, Harstem is doing a little bit of a fake aggression. At least I hope it's fake, because that is a tiny Protoss army, if I've ever seen one.
Very tiny. But he's got double Warp Prism again, so he's going to really start pressuring... Wait, he just canceled a macro hatchery.
Yep.
But it was like 80... Wasn't it like a fair weight?
Yeah, it was very far. It wasn't low on HP at all, but maybe he just felt that he was low on money and he wanted extra units out. He's firing up extra... Hey, that's spawning food. That should have happened on Acid Plant.
Okay.
And fuck, that would have owed me €5.
I was worried maybe he was overestimating the Zealots here, and in the end he kind of does, but he trades, and I think that's a fair enough trade. Minerals for gas, he took out quite a few Hydras.
And at the same time, Harstem is pressuring this hatchery as well on the 4th side. Harstem rushed up to 4th bases and is just kind of rolling over Namshar here. These Zealots are going to finish up as well. This Prism will finally get taken down, but Harstem is already doing a lot of damage. Oh, he's trying to trap him into the stasis, but there is an Overseer in this mix as well. But Harstem is getting phenomenal trades here. These Hydras are very expensive and very squishy.
He really wants to grab that 4th base, but it's getting very close. The stasis trap is popped, but only by a couple lings. The Warp Prism is going to provide a lot of extra charge lots. Double Immortals even being pumped out. Can they make it across the map to help this fight? There's only so many Hydras left over. Namshar just shocked probably by this push.
Yeah, I mean, it all felt a little bit weird. The Archons are losing a lot of HP though. One Archon does fall. Good transfuse on one of these Hydras, but it's still going to be tough. There's still plenty of Zealots. Good micro by Harstem saving that Archon somehow, some way. He's going to lose the other Archon in the front though. It is important that he doesn't throw away too many units here. That Prism is going to fall. Harstem doesn't get the 4th base, but he picked off a very nice amount of Hydras and also got a handful of drones.
Yeah, it was still a very awkward timing. Namshar was building up the Hydra count. He had just split them to deal with what seemed to be only 4 Zealots, and it ended up being just a misread. He lost way too many Hydras in the main, as well as in the 4th base. So despite holding, that wasn't a 3-base all-in. That wasn't something that was super extreme. He even saved a couple of units, and Harstem has such a good-looking supply.
Yeah, I'd like to see him transfer 8 probes out of his main towards that 4th base. I mean, he has 80 probes anyway, so maybe it doesn't matter. I love how he's even getting the safety Phoenix. He's like, just in case. I saw you make some spires before. These Zealots will get a cancel on this gold base. This is one of these games where a Protoss does so much with so little and does so many things at the same time that it almost feels like it doesn't make sense. Like, it really feels that Harstem played super macro-oriented, yet did so much damage with a double Prism attack and an army that started off small and is now suddenly this massive.
I feel like Namshar once again was just a little shocked while he was trying to plan his own execution of attack. Like, versus Showtime, he had the drop overlords, he was almost to his lurkers, he wanted to do something, and then bam, Showtime hit him, and he didn't ever quite recover enough. This game, he wasn't going up to drop overlords, but he was waiting for those upgrades. He was trying to grab a 4th base and saturate it, and he was only just then building the Hydras. I remember he did grab an infestation pit, though, a few minutes ago, and I wonder if his plan was to go up to a hive until he got all that damage taken, and now he feels the pressure to go back into just Baneling Hydra. But he also had those double attack upgrades, which he's still investing into. So, I mean, it might be a different game than Namshar was expecting, but he's trying his best to recover. It's going to be really tough now that Storm's in the play.
Yep, Storm, and the Immortal count is very hard. It's very high. It's still hard to get through this little choke point, though, even if you're Harstem. But he's just going to kind of muster his way in here with these High Templars and using Storm to push this Hydra army back. Will the High Templars survive? So far, the answer is yes. And I honestly think that Namshar is in a lot of trouble.
No, he's in tons of trouble. Even though the supplies don't look so bad, The type of supply is quite good for Hearthstone, although he is almost out of storms now. Just the Immortals left over, but Immortals are pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have left over, right? It's like, the last thing I have is like 9 Immortals standing here. It's like, well, okay, I'll actually take it as 20 drones have already gone down. This hatch is under a lot of fire as well. The last few Hydras are trying to pick off Immortals as they can, but Hearthstone's army is bigger and simply looks way more powerful.
Yeah. That's always a little scary when those hardened shields disappear as well, but a couple of Zealots do come forward. He could back off into the stasis trap, and these Zealots did a lot of economic damage. Namshar loses 2 bases, one fully saturated one with the drones.
Damn.
GG.
Clinic
Expands and attacks and wins.
double prism, 4 base at 6 minutes, 20 seconds. Wipes in a bunch of Zealots. Moves out with an army that first consists of an Archon, an Immortal, a Zealot, a Sentry, and an Adept. Like, that's almost the beginning of a really cool story. And for Hearthstone, it kind of was, because suddenly a massive Protoss army appeared. He did so much with so little while macroing so hard behind it. That was a really slick game. That's one of these games you just want to take another look at and be like,
yeah,
how did you pull all of that off at the same time and make it look so easy in a way?
Yeah, he did. It looked like he just had planned it all along. He knew exactly what was going to happen, but I feel like it was a little bit of just the Hydras. If they responded a bit faster to the main, it would be different. If they were all in the main or in the main attack, then it would have been different. I'm also still wondering about that infestation pit that we saw as the attack happened. Like, was Namshar planning on going up to a hive, even if he did get double attack upgrades, or was that supposed to be a lurker den? Like,
yeah.
He seemed like he was, again, he had this plan. He thought he knew how the game was going to go. He thought he was in an okay position, and then Hearthstone just threw a wrench into it.
It's funny as well, because when it happened against Showtime on Acid Plant, it also felt at first, that the double prism was getting a lot done, but Namshar did a phenomenal job in splitting up his armies, and yeah, he lost, but he lost mostly Queens. This time he just kept losing Hydras, and Hydras are really funny units, because a fight with 9 Hydras can make 7 Zealots disappear, and it feels like they did nothing, but then if you have 5 Hydras, all of them get smashed to bits. So it's really funny how that works, but yeah, this time they just all kind of disappeared.
It looks really good for Netherlands, but Sara will come now to try to come back in this series. And we have some tweets coming up.
Let's bring it on.
Nah, he just changes it.
So
That's
after
all
the
I
cheese. That's so cute.
Oh, great. Fog of chest. Oh, claw. Oh, like the. Yeah, I gotcha. I get it.
We still use those every game. Man, people are.
This game always makes me laugh.
I had so many tweets of people yelling at me for not using GIFs. I was like, they're circling it. I was like, I don't press buttons I don't know the meaning of, guys. Even if it says GIF, I don't know how that works.
This is a play on a French.
Ça mange quoi au petit-déj en suédois que je vous argue? What does a Swedish playing Zerg eat for breakfast?
Isn't that knackebröd? Knackebröd
spread.
It's like what Swedish people eat always, knackebröd.
I was figuring there was something along there. I was tying it all together, but I don't know anything about Sweden.
So you put Zerg on your knackebröd.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, thank you for your tweets. It always makes us laugh. And after the short break, Sarov is going to come to try to come back in the series. Hello everyone, and we are back for the third game in this best of 7 for the winners match in Group USA. It's going to be Netherlands against Sweden, and now Sarov is coming for Sweden.
Yeah, after a really great performance in the first game, they don't seem to find the answer on how to beat this guy, Hearthstone. It's his year, it's his decade, as you said earlier, and he's playing really well. Those twos for a game.
And in a couple years, we changed the decade into a millennium, because he's not stopping.
Oh, no.
He, too, is on fire.
Yes.
Now, I must say, that first game, that was maybe not your typical PvZ, because it was a +1 melee and a lot of links and bane links, but it's one of those games where you see a couple trades being used or, happening all over the map, and you're like, yeah, it makes sense. That second game, the more I think about it, it's like, it still doesn't make sense, you know? Like, sometimes you feel like you have a really clean game, and then you wipe in 4 Zealots in the Zerg's menu, and you're like, let's see what my Prism can do. And then your average barcode 5.5k MMR's got 19 Hydras there. It's like, you're like, and then you're sitting at 52 probes. Hearthstone just did it all at the same time, and he made it look so convincing that, yeah, I'm actually starting to get a little bit worried for Team Sweden, because it seems like Hearthstone is in fantastic shape in this matchup.
Yeah, could it be an all kill? Is that possible?
It's always possible. I still don't necessarily expect it, but he's looking mighty fine so far.
Yeah, I agree. And he has to go again, you know, game after game, same matchup. He feels more and more comfortable. Yeah. I like it for Hearthstone. I think he's a player that will benefit quite a lot from the momentum, but this is a momentum killer right there.
Yes, it is, Funka. This is not the map that you ever want to play a best of one of if you are a Protoss against a Zerg.
72%, man. 72% in favor of Zerg in this map. We'll see what happens in this game number 3 as we load up to the game. In the bottom right, as a red Protoss representing Netherlands, he is Hearthstone.
And on the left top side, we're looking at the main base of the man that has to make the comeback happen for Sweden. It is sort of.
Ooh, I think we're looking at a proxy hatchery. Yeah. It's going to be scouted
I mean, just all of this kind of stuff is so annoying. Of course, whenever we say, ooh, biogenesis, some people may not play StarCraft all the time or may not necessarily watch StarCraft all the time. It's just this is a very tiny map, which means that a lot of rushes can arrive very quickly to your side of the map. And then above all, a lot of these proxy builds, whether it's in your natural or on the other side of the wall, they're all very frustrating to deal with. Now, I find it interesting that Hearthstone didn't pull probes. Maybe he feels that if he pulls the probes too early, it's too big of a hit in his own economy. But not pulling probes at all also means that there is a chance his hatchery finishes up. Then you cannot expand forever, but maybe that's part of Hearthstone's plan. Hearthstone will respond with just blocking the hatch of sort of on the other side of the map. But this game is already weird. It's already in a biogenesis game, and I don't know, man. I mean, Hearthstone should take double gas, and I guess eventually, right? Okay, now he stays on one gas, and now he starts pulling probes.
Now he pulls the probe as the Zealot comes out of the gateway. The Chrono Boost is still a little bit on the gateway, but it will end right now. And yes, Zealot plus 6 probes should do the trick against the hatchery. Do you cancel if you're sort of right there?
Yeah,
you want to have some creep onto that base?
I think when it's taking this much damage from the probes and the Zealot, you have to cancel it.
Okay.
Obviously, ideally, you want to morph it into an evolution chamber now to be truly annoying. Or just drop another hatch. I mean, it's actually possible. It's not,
and he will do it.
Yeah.
On the position next to it, it's still super annoying because you can't drop a Nexus there. You're not a Terran player, and now the probe, they have to go back. Like, guys, it's a double shift, actually.
Yeah. But, working OT tonight, boys. No extra pay. But if you're lucky, there is some cold McDonald's on your way home. Oh, but Hearthstone gets their kill. So that cold McDonald's turned into a steak real quick, or a filet mignon. That is a massive pickoff. And now suddenly, I kind of like where this is going for Hearthstone. Obviously, sort of was forced to expand on the right side as well, which means that, if Hearthstone gets 2 adepts, I don't know if he has the second adept out already or not, but so it's on his way. These adepts are going to be very annoying as long as speed isn't done.
That's a lot of damage that could be dealt to that third base, and at least you can't really transfer drones now because of the 2 adepts that are coming. Now the Nexus is being planted down on the side of Hearthstone. He will transition into a Stargate afterwards, so going to go back to a normal game plan after that.
I would let the Shade finish, by the way.
I think he will go for it.
I think that's a very smart Shade, with the Queen being that far out of position. Even if you just get a couple drones here, it's already absolutely worth it. He's actually just going for the Link, so he could cancel the Shade, stay in the main base, Hearthstone, and that's exactly what he does. Hearthstone is running away with this game already. This is an insane amount of damage in this phase in the game, as Mapu, our fantastic German observer, is showing us as well, literally mining 200 minerals a minute. That's terrible.
Yeah, and it's been happening for the last 30-40 seconds in this game, so that's a lot of damage that has been dealt. And now those adepts, they might be able to escape. He killed a lot of Zerglings as well. Now we'll have a little bit of a slight, supply block, but the pylon finished in the main, as the Nexus will finish as well. But this is an amazing position to be in as a Protoss player. After the beginning was such a hectic, proxy hatchery against the pylon block, I think Harstem did get the upper hand after this engagement.
You know what I would have liked to see actually come out of sort of just proxy hedge on the other side of the wall, like maybe on the low ground somewhere, and then just go with queens and spines. I find those kind of builds. I definitely think they have potential on a map like a Biogenesis as well. Of course, Harstem is an experienced pro, and you could say he should know how to deal with it. But if all your buildings are on the low ground and there's no ramp truly going into your natural, it's still very, very tough to deal with.
Okay, the Oracle shows up on the third, gets 2 drones. Maybe he will go for a third one. He doesn't want to take that much damage onto it, which is quite normal, I would say.
I mean, Harstem can wipe in a few more adepts and just go for it. What does sort of truly have, other than a couple of Zerglings? He's still running around with these Lings, but if Harstem just starts shading to the other side of the map, with the amount of economic damage that Harstem has done already, if he gets a few more drones with this attack, even if he gets 5, normally that's obviously not enough. If he gets 5 drones right now, that's gonna hurt sort of so much.
I'm a little afraid. Like, he goes with the 2 Oracles and the 5 Adepts, and if he gets those Adepts cleaned up as he's taking a third base, maybe it's a little dangerous. I would have left maybe only the Oracle to do the job, but still, it's a massive attack and dangerous one that sort of has to defend against because he doesn't have the economy. We're looking at 31 drones against the 41 probes of Harstem as he drops down a third Nexus.
I mean, that's what Harstem is achieving with this as well, right? And the Oracle's finding a little bit of damage. He's forcing out more units, and every time he forces out more Zerglings, that is the economic damage as well. No, this actually could be the moment where you could potentially slip up. There are force fields available. These Adepts are going to get surrounded. The link count is not super high, but the Adepts were a little bit bruised up already.
Okay, the force field will remove a little bit of that surface area, but that's a trade that you are happy to take as Harstem because you know that he sort of wants to do more with aggression. He needs to rebuild those Zerglings, and he can't really replace those as he currently has 42 drones, which is not that much to say the least in this game, in this PvZ. Harstem playing it super well and might be able to take down all 3 Zergs of the Swedish lineup. Even that Queen may be a little bit far forward, but no energy, so not going to take the fight.
Look at sort of 4 Overlords and a Roach Warren, and there's still no lair on the way. I mean, maybe just go like Ling Roach Ravager on Hatchery Tech. I think that sort of knows that this has not been his game. He's still producing queens as well, so I have the feeling he's just going to march across the map. Yeah. And then all that Harstem needs to do is scout this, identify it, throw up a couple shield batteries, maybe get a few more sentries, and squeeze out as many Immortals as you can. The scouting is good. I think Harstem knows what's up.
Harstem is playing an amazing game. Everything he did in this game, I think he realized most of what was happening. Now he knows. He sees every single lava turning into eggs. He sees a Roach Warren. He sees no lair starting. He's got an Immortal that's already out, actually 2 Immortals, and adding shield batteries. Harstem knows what's up, and I think he has everything in his hands to defend against that attack. That massive all-in attack from sort of. There's no backing out away from this one.
I'm with you. I mean, even Charge is on the way, and there's a good chance that Charge is going to finish in the middle of it. Don't want to lose your Oracles. He attacks the army instead, but he also knows that sort of probably wants to fight with his Queens. That means it's going to take a while. He warped in the extra sentries. He chrono boosted the Immortal. He got the extra shield batteries. I love everything that Harstem is doing. Now, it's still not going to be easy, as it's never easy, but on paper, Harstem is literally doing everything right, and he's feeling confident enough to even drop a Dark Shrine during all of this.
Yeah, if that Dark Shrine finishes, that's already a win. But those force field, they're also winning force field with a lot of roaches that were separated from the rest of the army. He got a lot of them for free as the Zerg player tries to go for a counterattack with a couple of Zerglings, but the Zealot was perfectly placed. And once more, shield batteries will be added on the side of Harstem. He even has a cannon. Now the Oracle is dropping down a Stasis Ward. He's got everything to defend with, and Harstem keeps on playing amazingly. Now the Zerglings, they will get cancelled by the Stasis Ward once again. What an amazing defense from Harstem.
Yeah, he's actually holding this with flying colors, man. He still has all his key units alive. Yeah, Pylon goes down there, but it doesn't really matter. The Immortals are standing strong. The Zealots will have charge now. Here we go, boys. Warped into the battle. Oracles are going to show up as well, and I think that's all C wrote. Harstem wins 3 games in a row and puts the Netherlands just 1 map win away from qualifying to the quarterfinals. What a performance out of Harstem so
Harstem
far.
is playing so well. I loved everything he did from the beginning of this game. He sees the hatchery block. He gets the decision to just wait for the Zealot, then pushes the probe, does it perfectly well as he cancels while he actually removes the opportunity from the Zerg player to take his natural, forces the third base, now does a lot of cool tricks with his micro. This is also
massive.
a really, really bad start for sort of.
I really like the pylon block against this, though, because the pylon block forces sort of to expand on the right top side, which means he can transfer drones. He was having a very tough time dealing with the adepts. Of course, one of the downsides of building a hatch on the other side of the map is that your Zergling speed is going to be a little late, unless you want to be super all-in, but that wasn't sort of his plan. Then Harstem scouting with the oracles was just on point. He really did not let sort of recover from that weird opening that sort of tried to do that didn't really work out. And he just ran away with this game. He identified it very quickly what was happening. Said it was like a couple extra sentries, Chrono Boost, Immortal, Shield Batteries. He does all three, and yeah, he just holds kind of with ease.
Yeah, with ease, you can say it, definitely. I think even the Oracle were quite the MVP in this game, getting a lot of drone kills, getting all the scout in the world, even the Stasis Ward at the end of it. Helped out against those Zerglings. I really loved everything he did, and it looked for a moment that he was maybe on the greedy side of things by dropping everything with the +1 and the Robo and the Dark Shrine, but in the end, he was totally in control, and he defended quite perfectly. The Force Wheel were on points.
Yeah,
Now
Force Wheels were excellent.
It's normal. I mean, it looks normal from what we've seen from Harstem. He has the PvZ matchup on lockdown right now.
Harstem having a fantastic start so far in his Nationwide Season 5 as well. Currently 9-1 in maps. All killed Peru, got 2 victories over Team USA, getting 3 against Sweden now. 3 + 2 + 4 is actually 9.
It's actually 9.
And of course he did drop a single map. Now, who do you revive? Sort of?
Zancer?
Namchar. Okay, now Namchar did not have a pretty game. But Namchar is in Europe, so he's maybe a little bit fresher than the 2 Zergs that are currently in Korea.
Definitely.
Of course, it's getting very late for Zenster and sort of, so maybe Namchar feels he's like, all right, that Eastwatch game, I'm going to forget about it. I can do way better, and I'll show you. But I think you don't only revive here with the idea to beat Harstem.
Yeah,
you have to do it all.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's already a tough spot for Sweden, definitely, because they don't have that guy that you're confident that can take right away 4 games in a row, right? Yeah. So it's just a matter of can we avoid the old kill? Can we get those games going and maybe a little bit of momentum from one of those guys? But
I think the Netherlands is actually happy to see Namchar being revived there, not because he's easier than sort of and Zenster, but I think both Optimus and Utermo, I know my Dutchies a little bit, they love playing with no latency. Namchar, of course, is in Europe. That means that even if Harstem falls here, Optimus and Utermo, excuse me, worst case they have to play both, can both play on the European server, and I think especially Utermo is a big fan of that.
Yeah, in the TVZ matchup, it also helps quite a bit to not have that latency being a little bit painful, and now it's Neon Violet Square. It's a perfect map for Harstem. It's a perfect map for the PvZ in favor of Protoss. Well, at least really good for Proto things because of that pocket expansion. But we'll see. For now, it is this guy that's taking all the credit for Netherlands right now with 3 wins in a row. He will maybe be able to do an all kill. It is Harstem.
Yeah, taking out both sort of and Zenser is just massive, man, because you don't want to play TVZs on the American server with high latency. So I think the Dutchies are already feeling very good. But you can never cheer too early. Can this man somehow turn it all around by himself? It's Namchar.
Namchar played I'd say a pretty decent game, well, a decent couple of games in the first match that he had to play today against Germany.
I mean, he finally got that victory over Showtime.
He got a victory over Showtime. He might be feeling quite comfortable. Then dropped the game against Harstem, didn't play the best game ever as well. So it's like, can he just, gather all his forces and just, refocus and go into this game with with a clear head.
It's important to just recollect yourself and don't think too much about that game in Eastwatch. It happened, it's in the past. Focus on the positive today, and that is that you are finally able to snap that streak over Showtime so people can stop bringing it up. He's like, might be 19-1, but I still got that one, and it's a big one, of course. Let's see what he has in store for us. I hope for Namcha that he plays, just a more solid game, a more clean game, because we know that he's capable of it. But Harstem is a momentum-based player as well. He's absolutely one of those guys that if he's feeling it, he's often really feeling it. I feel in both tournaments that he won in his life, the Legacy of the Void tournament, the Home Story Cup that he won, and also the GPL in Shanghai that he won. He was feeling it back then in those PvZ matchups, and you knew, just like at one point I was looking at his games, I was like, he's actually not going to lose. He's feeling so good in the matchup right now. He beat Snoot in the finals back then in Shanghai. He beat Scarlet, if I recall correctly, in the finals of Home Story Cup. And he just looked really, really solid in that matchup, and that's how his games so far are looking. And you know how he's sitting right now behind his computer. He's listening to One Direction. He's singing something cheeky. Maybe Justin Bieber. It doesn't matter. But you know right now that he's feeling it. He's happy. And that's a very, very scary Harstem to go up against.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because I could actually see him,
Oh, he's literally bouncing his head right now. Like, how
and also like fist pumping and stuff like that after he got that third win. And like it's a great day for Harstem. He's playing really well. He's on the verge of all killing Sweden, and he has to do it again against Namchar. He needs that fourth win. For now, gonna go for Nexus first, which is kind of interesting. Doesn't go for the actual transition that we see a lot, which is double gateway. He just stays on one and will go for his target afterwards. It will get scouted by Namchar, so good job by him. But let's see what he decides to go for in terms of transition. We see overload speed.
I mean, this is kind of nice for Namchar. He gets a probe, obviously gets the scout in the main base as well. It's a Phoenix first for Harstem. Makes me wonder. I mean, sometimes even if they go, like, it all appears to be very economic-centric. That's actually the most deceiving Protoss opening, because then it's one Phoenix, and then they drop the Twilight and all the gates. But I don't really think that Harstem is going to go too crazy. Goes up to 3 bases at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Now, of course, that is something that's possible because of that pocket expand, but yeah, once again, just a very, very greedy Harstem.
Yeah, and a lot of variety in his play. I really like it. Even though you mentioned it, it's rather greedy most of the time. And what's he doing right now with the Nexus first into that third base super fast? I really enjoy it. That Overlord, will he be able to scout out the third base? He doesn't see anything in the main and not a single other unit from the Stargate, so it might be a tell.
Well, I mean, Harstem decided to reveal the Oracle there. So at least Namcha knows, but he already had his Spore Crawlers on the way, so this doesn't change much for our Swedish Zerg, who is... Ooh, he doesn't have a Spore here yet. I know he has a Spore in his natural and perhaps one in the main as well. Yes, he does. But he just produced a lot of drones, so that means that quite a few drones here are quite exposed. It's only a single Queen, and he's immediately forced to pull these drones away, but he could still end up losing 4 or 5 drones here.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. The Oracle against just only one Queen will accept taking some more damage. And just get those 4 drones, and that's the third Overlord that's going down. Phoenix is doing a lot of work, as Harstem will now drop the rest of the Protoss technology with the Forge and Twilight Council coming up. Getting already 6 extractors, 6 cell simulators, I should say. And I'm just liking it for Harstem, like keeping it close, even a little bit ahead in terms of the worker situation with 54 probes against the 55 drones now that Namchar has. It's quite good for Harstem. I like it.
It's of course important to mention that Namchar did invest in +1 melee this game. Now most likely he will fire up +2 as soon as his layer is done.
No way!
5 minutes and 30. Is he trying to like break the Guinness Book of World Records for Protoss expansions in PvZ or something? Like, it's insane. What he did on Eastwatch I already thought was crazy. This is even faster. Harstem is playing with absolutely zero fear.
Yeah, that's confidence right there. And you mentioned, the momentum-based player that Harstem is. Well, it's exactly what we're seeing here. I mean, 4 bases, not that many units, but a lot of upgrades going his way, and a 4th base at 5 minutes. I mean, I just can't believe what I'm watching.
He's got the Oracles, right? He's got the vision. He knows he has nothing to fear. Lynx Flood isn't that scary at this point with 2 Oracles. Nice little Overlord farm on the north side of the map. At least that should spot a Prism. Now, there is Overlord speed. There is +2 melee. I really want to see some Bailing drops this game. I was sad we didn't get to see it on Blackpink, because I really felt if you have +2 melee, if you have Overlord speed, you're forced to at least try. I don't care how many Phoenixes are out on the map. You're supposed to try.
So the question I'm wondering is, what do you do as Protoss? I think it's going to be held quite easily.
Yep.
What do you do as Protoss when you've got that greedy of a build? Like, what kind of composition, what kind of timing do you want to hit?
I mean, I think it's kind of the world is his oyster, right? Because he's so freaking rich. But
Yeah.
he's obviously going to be able to warp in a lot of Archons. Kind of expecting a double Robo as well. Or he just drops a very early fleet beacon. We know that Hearthstone loves his motherships in this matchup. If you have 6, 7 Immortals, you may as well go for it. But there's also a good chance that he soon just gets, 7 extra gates going down as he's trying to get a queen there. But I mean, Hearthstone can kind of do whatever he wants. He can start moving out with a Prism. He can drop a fleet beacon. Well, that's okay. Now it's plus 9 gates.
Okay,
so.
it's like a million Zealots and a couple of Archons, I guess.
That's a lot of Archons,
choice.
I think, because, I mean, it's 1,200 gas in the bank.
It does have 1,200 gas, which is quite massive, but don't forget about the fact that we already have centrifugal hooks. We will have +2 attack in a few moments.
Yeah.
So if you're Zealot heavy, maybe the Banelings can do the trick.
I think this is the first thing that I'm a little like, is this that good for Hearthstone? I mean, obviously, if he gets double Prism harassment and he runs all over Nemcha, then obviously it's a phenomenal choice. But at the same time, it's a little bit risky because he is going to be quite Zealot heavy. He doesn't have too many Immortals. He is getting Storm as well, so maybe he's not like truly committing to anything yet. But yeah, that amount of gates normally suggests that he wants to warp in a lot of Zealots. Okay, we've got Dropper Lords on the way. That's cute. Is that the second Prism that's on the way for Hearthstone, or is that the first Warp Prism?
It's a second.
Okay, so I think we know where this is going, and he's basically just going to probably rely on his main army and then warp in an insane amount of Zealots in the main base.
Yeah, that might be what he tries to do here with double Prism, and as you mentioned, the Prism will go to the north side.
5
As
bases.
Arstem is pushing, he gets a 5th base, and he also gets a fleet beacon for the transition to the late game. Those Dropper Lords, they will get intercepted on the middle of the map. I can't believe how many probes he has and what an amazing army he has on the same time. Let's see if Namshar can intercept that Prism. It would be super useful if he was able to do it.
I would have loved to see him hide the Hydras a few seconds more. This is a big army on creep though, and on creep it's really hard to run into that many Hydras. Now there are quite a few Storms available as Mafu is selecting all of them. He knows that the Stormy Boys is the only thing that matter here.
Oh yeah, and we'll have the transition with the fleet beacon, probably a mothership. Only one target for now. Not really a Tempest or Carrier yet. We'll be adding in some more Immortals, a second Robo as well, and the mothership that we expected is here.
Banelings are in.
Yeah, Baneling drops at the same time.
That's a pretty decent stasis for Hydras and the Queen as well. A couple Zealots. Nemcha doing a really good job though in splitting up his army.
Yeah.
Hearthstone not finding any openings with his insane amount of gates. Does land a pretty decent Storm there as he picks off a couple of those Banelings. Where are those? Well, no drop loads are happening. I guess the Lings are going to try to maybe go just on top of this army.
Oh, let's see if he can do it with the Storms. Now the Baneling are getting closer and closer to those Templars. He has a couple of Storms remaining, but the Hydralisks are doing an amazing job here.
Wow.
And the Prism hasn't moved at the same time on the north side of the map. Still defended pretty well by those Hydralisks, and Hearthstone, with the greediest build I've ever seen in a PvZ, now doesn't really find the key to battle that army head on.
Yeah, maybe that was a little bit too much. Fleet Beacon, 5th base, while being that active in the middle of the map, and then also having 2 Prisms, trying to go for run-bys. Suddenly Nemcha just jumped on top of it. Nemcha leaving a couple of Lings at home. He has that pocket expander. There's literally nothing there. As Nemcha is try to go in for the kill. A couple Banelings in the mix as well. Splash all over the Zealots. The force field is good to keep the High Templars alive, but that's still a lot of Hydras, Funka.
Yeah, he needs to transform those maybe into an Archon. He's got one more Storm left. I think it's been used. Okay, he still has a second one. So for now he holds. At the same time, the Prism has been defended, but now maybe there's an opening in the main. For some reason, Arstem doesn't really have the resources to build some more Zealots for now, so he has to go back with the Prism. Is that the third Robo, or did he lose the second one?
That's that must be...
yeah, that's the third Robo.
Triple Robo. All right, then drop a Robo Bay as well.
Crazy, man.
Robo Bay.
Yeah, we want to see some Disruptors maybe in this game.
Or Laser Boys.
What about +3 as well? Like he's
yeah, I mean, like there's only so many things he can do. Hearthstone obviously got very carried away, doing everything at once. Take a look at the units lost resource tab, if we can, real quick. That fight in the middle of the map was painful. After that, it was a little bit better. The hold was good against the Hydras, but I mean, this is still kind of Nemcha's game to lose. If I was Nemcha here, I send a reasonable amount of units up the ramp into the natural. Instead of having everything here on the north side, I think it's very important to split your army up here a little bit. Or, once again, use some Dropper Lords, matey.
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to do so, because for now you mentioned it, maybe a little bit too much of tunnel vision on the side of Namshar. That's not able to break the Protoss on his 4th base with a lot of storms and a super clumped up army, but that's it. He's doing it. He's splitting the army, couple of Hydralisks, actually a pretty decent number of Hydralisks. In some Banelings he will probably bust down the wall instantly.
One High Templar, but I don't think the High Templar has energy.
Yeah,
for
he doesn't
Storm.
have it.
So this is the way that he probably should have done it a little while ago, gave Harstem a lot of time. Don't forget that the more time goes by, the more storms will be available again.
Oh, yeah.
We were looking at a very sad Protoss army that didn't really have any storms. Now suddenly it's going to be quite stormy once again, as storms are available.
I don't think that's a fight you want to take if you're Namshar. He's losing a lot of units and there are still storms available for the High Templars, and for now he's losing a lot of units, and even though he cleaned a lot of what's costing a lot of gas on the side of Harstem, he still gets pushed away quite easily, and there is no late game tech for Namshar.
No, that wasn't pretty. That really wasn't pretty. He lost a lot of very expensive units there. The Banelings didn't really do that much. It's so hard to break Protoss when they're just standing there near shield batteries with storms available. And let's not forget about that mothership. Like, you know, some people love the mothership, some people don't, but what it does do is it just represents an insane amount of tanking. Now, this 5th base will probably get cancelled once again. High Templar is a little far forward.
Okay, is there any Banelings to connect with it? He gets the cloak device here with the mothership, but every single Templar got demolished here. He was able to get a couple of Archons before they died, but still no 5th base, and a lot, well, not a single storm available, I do believe. Those 4 Templars that were just produced right now.
Yeah, he had one of them, so maybe one has slightly more energy, but no storm available. So Nemcha is keeping on 4 bases. Can he get better trades? That mothership is still problematic, though. It represents so much tanking and obviously the cloaking. Even though there are a couple of OVs available here, it's still frustrating. But can these Hydras pick off some units from far away? That's the only storm that's available. But obviously, if more time goes by, 3 more will be.
Oh, nice. That's a really sizable warping that has been used here in the pocket expand, and I think Namshar wants to go back because those Zealots, they will tear down everything with the +3 attack, and now the Banelings, they go right on top of the Archons. That's not a fight you want to take, as the Zealots will kill the hatchery, get 16 drones, double-pronged attack, double-pronged harassment. This is perfect from Harstem that finally cracked the defense of Namshar.
Yeah, he just did an insane amount of damage. He's getting bases on the left top. He's getting this base on the south side. These hatches are going to fall.
Oh, that was close.
Yes.
Okay, but
knew it all along.
2 base down, 18 drones. Harstem does whatever he wants on this side of the map now. Gets a 5th. Even that transition to Stargates.
You know how easy Nemcha's life would have been if he had like a Viper and he just abducts that mothership like one time. Then I really think it would have been so much harder for Harstem. Or the first time after Nemcha took that, convincing victory in the middle of the map. That's the point where you split a couple units on the north side, a couple units, you go up the ramp in the natural. I really think he had the numbers for it. Instead, everything came from the north side. Harstem had all his High Templars there, bought enough time, and obviously Harstem was still rich, even if he lost his 5th base. That didn't change the fact that he was still a very, very rich Protoss boy.
Oh yeah. And he's able to power up an amazing army. He now transitions to carriers with +1 attack.
Still no Vipers, by the way.
Yeah, no Vipers, but +3 attack and +3 missile and +3 melee on the side of Namshar. This is good. Hydralisks will deal a lot of damage, but that doesn't mean they will survive storms. It's still the same issue.
Yep, more Zealots being annoying over here in the bottom side of the map. I don't know, man. I know that it's hard to sometimes land those abducts against feedback potential from these High Templars. I do get that, but I have no idea how Namshar is supposed to win a fight there unless he literally gets a full surround of Hydras and not a single storm will connect with more than just a couple Hydras.
Okay, let's see those storms from the Templars. They are pretty well protected in the middle with a lot of Immortals and Archons at the same time. The Mothership will escape. One more storm lands on the Hydralisk, and now Namshar has to go back and he might have to forfeit his gold base. This is not looking good at all for Sweden, as their last hope is currently losing this game with this army from Harstem. Massive army with super quality, +3 attack, Archons, Immortals, Templars, and a Mothership that just won't die.
Yep, those are the last Hydras for Namshar, and I think that Harstem has done it. He is going to be all-killing Sweden here in the winners match of Group USA, and he looks absolutely magnificent in the Protoss vs Zerg matchup. I am incredibly impressed with the way that Harstem has played in all 4 of these games.
And that's it. I think the last storm will land on the Zerglings and Banelings. No micro on the side of Namshar. He knows. GG, well played. Is cold. And Harstem, whole kill Sweden, qualifies Netherlands for the quarterfinals.
Damn, what a run. What a Protoss run. What a magnificent beast. This Harstem guy. Now, that was
Perfect run.
a really, really good performance by our Dutch Protoss.
Oh, yeah, that was really, really good. I mean, after Sweden was able to defeat Germany, I don't think anybody looked at this matchup as a null kill potential. No. Maybe Uthermal could have done it, but now, no, they start with Harstem. And Harstem shows that he's confident enough to play without questioning anything that he does. That was such a greedy game that he played. And after that, he did find the key, he did find the opening with the Zealot harassment that finally did damage.
I honestly feel at this moment, Nemcho should send a couple units via the south side, a couple units via the north side, and just freaking go. And instead, I felt like he kept everything over here, and Harstem didn't have much, but what he did have is High Templars, and if you only need to defend this area, then obviously you can get the job done. And the moment that the Mothership is in the mix as well, like, it just becomes so hard. It actually does a reasonable amount of damage, not massive, but it's so tanky, it cloaks, it's very, very annoying to go up against. And then when Harstem finally started attacking, he just did so much immediately.
Yeah, and it's, pushed away the entire army of Namshar. He lost his momentum, he lost his opportunity to kill that 4th base because he has to go back to defend. And well, suddenly 10 drones become 16 drones that are being lost, and 2 bases at the same time. And look at this army. I mean, what can you do on the ground to defeat that army? We're looking at 6, 7 Archons, 10 Immortals, and massive amount of Storm.
You need tier 3 units, right?
Exactly.
You need either Lurkers with adaptive talents, you need a couple Vipers in the mix, even Blinding Cloud can be very annoying against Immortals because sometimes they move forward into your army. Ultra's obviously not great against all the Immortals, but if you have a bunch of Queens, it can still be annoying, like I said, combined with a Blinding Cloud. But above all, Abducts, and obviously Broodlords is the ideal unit if there is no Tempest or Carrier. But yeah, Harstem it's so funny to watch him because I'm really getting deja vus of those tournaments where he did win, where he was victorious, the biggest wins of his career. That was also off the back of his PvZ, and if he's feeling it, he's really feeling it in this matchup, and he makes Protoss look kind of broken. Well, I think most people know that, I don't think Protoss
6-minute 4th base, kind of broken.
Oh, 5 minutes, 30 seconds.
Crazy.
Yeah, the Oracle's apparently all you need.
Crazy guy.
And Harstem just all killed Sweden, and they're now qualified for the round of 8.
Yep, that was a really, really great performance by Harstem. I can't wait to hear from him. He might feel quite ecstatic,
smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe he waits for Uthermal to tell him that he can speak, as he said in the interview.
Oh, I mean, maybe he would, but he'll still be smiling and he'll be dancing a little bit. I want to know what the victory song is tonight.
I want to see that. And the interview is ready with our Dutch players. Hello, guys. Congratulations, Harstem. Oh my God, you just all killed Sweden.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So, show us something. How would you celebrate? Show your joy, your emotion after the series.
Well, obviously I'm happy. Like what you want me to say. Like, yeah. I don't know. It was. I didn't expect the all kill. The plan was for me to take 2 maps, and then, or even just take 1 map. And because on Abiogenesis we kind of figured Protoss isn't really supposed to win there, so that was where my run was going to end, and then the other boys take over. But then I won Abiogenesis, and I was like, well, might as well finish the job.
Kev, I already said, I feel when I think back of the 2 biggest victories of your StarCraft career, in China and of course at Home Story Cup as well, that was off the back of your PvZ, and it's something in this matchup you have it sometimes where I feel like if you're feeling it, it suddenly seems like you're really feeling it. And you look almost untouchable. You play almost the style of next level greed. And it feels like you can just look at your games that you feel safe in everything you do. Like, how do you experience it?
Yeah, I have no clue. It's just, like, honestly, I wasn't feeling too confident. Like, last few days have been pretty rough on the ladder. But today, after I won the first game, and you tap back to Skype, and you see these 2 clowns absolutely going mental with the easies, and wow, sick game. Like, you kind of start believing the hype yourself, So I was like, oh,
well, I think it worked. It just felt like, especially the game that you had on Eastwatch, which was against Namchar as well, correct? it just feels like you were doing everything at once. You're going up to 4 bases at 6 minutes, double prism. You move out with an army that, you know, could be the start of a little children's cute story. An Archon at a depth and a Mortar walk in the middle of the map, and you accidentally killed the Zerg. Like, it was pretty nuts to see.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts to play it myself as well. And everything was going so well. I'm not sure if you ever... Like when stuff is just flowing well, and you can kind of start paying attention to the small things, you know. So I remember on the Eastwards game, I was thinking like, stuff's going all right. I think I can like individually micro units. I was like sending Archons back home with like 10 HP, like some Immortals. Like, yeah, life is good.
So, is this like, speaking of being a little bit nuts, is this the reason that you go like easy peasy for a 4th base at 5 minutes on that last game? How greedy was that, man? Like, I've never seen that.
Okay, so there was some mind games involved. So on Eastwards, I did like Nexus first, 1 gate 3rd base. And I figured there's no way he's going to think that I'm as dumb as I really am to do the same thing again, you know? But here I am.
Well played. That was impressive.
That was quite impressive indeed. So I don't know, Optimus, you Thermal, is there anything you want to add to the amazing performance that Hearthstone just had?
No, I think
I'm very happy. Sorry. I'm very happy that my teammates performed so well today because honestly I was a bit afraid that after the last 2 Nation Wars they could go into a bad mindset and not be able to play their best because it was just me winning. So I really hope they would start off well today so they could keep the momentum. And even in the first series, like Hearthstone played well, Optimus played really well against Neve, I think. And Hearthstone just comes in there and all kills them. Like for me, it's really awesome to have my teammates win. And also because I'm not just a player, but I'm also a fan of StarCraft. And Hearthstone and Optimus are 2 of my favorite players to win. Like I really like seeing them win. So for me, having them win is actually really awesome. And also, I believe a good performance in Nation Wars can help them get more confidence and play well in WCS and stuff. So for me, this is just super awesome in every way.
The team spirit doesn't end here, Fonka.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's not going to end in Paris either. I'm going to make sure that they have some orange lights ready at the Eiffel Tower, guys, because I've got a pretty good feeling about this one. Nah, I don't have much else to add. I just thought it was a fantastic showing, and I agree with what Mark said as well. I think great showing against USA as well from everyone. I mean, obviously, we want to know about potential quarter-final opponents. I mean, we know the nations that you guys could potentially go up against. South Korea is one of them. You could possibly go up against Norway and also Brazil. So let's start off with Optimus. Of those 3, South Korea, Norway, Brazil, who would you like to play?
I don't think it matters too much for us. I think most of us prefer to play without ping, so I guess in that sense, dodge South Korea. But I don't think it matters too much. We're all very confident. We have improved a lot compared to last year. I was talking with you, Thermal, about it, like map picking and talking about strategies and stuff. I think we have improved a lot, and I'm not afraid of anyone anymore. So yeah, let them come.
What about you, Mark?
I think if we play Brazil or what's the other one? Norway.
Yes.
We're pretty massive favorites against both, I think. Especially Norway because their best player is the Zerg. And, you know, you just saw Hearthstone play. Like I actually would consider all of us like a favorite to beat Toute. So I think Norway we should be like really massive favorites, and against Brazil, I would consider Diego a bit harder considering the matchup.
And Turkey
and also
Dano.
the lag perhaps.
Turkey Dano, Mark.
Turkey Dano. Can't forget about Turkey Dano. Actually, we told Optimus we would send him out against Turkey Dano if we got Brazil. So he better prepare for it. And then and then if we play Korea, honestly, I think it's fine as well. Like me and Hearthstone had a couple of nice matches against Innovation and Sue at IAM. So I don't think these clowns have a chance if we play against them.
These clowns.
Kev, anything to add to what the boys said?
No, just I think all of us really dislike playing with ping. So the best thing for us would be Norway, even if it was just because of the ping. And otherwise, obviously Brazil would be easier than Korea. So Korea last and then Norway number 1 for me.
Okay.
Alright, wel, van harte gefeliciteerd jongens.
Dankjewel.
Bedankt dat jullie me toch nog een beetje geloofwaardig laten hier op de desk. Hè?
Ja, maar dat was die 4-2, Rotti. Dat was een 4-0 prediction.
Yeah, okay, so we'll keep it. Go back to England. I just thanked them for making sure that I keep some dignity here on the desk, for hyping the boys up so much, what they freaking delivered.
Yeah.
And then Mark said, but what about that freaking 4-2 prediction? Like, what was that all about? Yeah, I mean, looking back, yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for the Swedish lineup. I think all those guys are very good, and I mean, I knew we could win this as as Dutch team, but yeah, I didn't see a 4-0 coming. No way.
Yes, indeed, Harsten was really impressive here. Thank you so much for the interview and congratulations again for your qualification. I will see you this weekend for the quarterfinals.
GG, guys.
GG's.
See you.
Integrity saved. Status complete.
Yeah, you're feeling on top of the world, like you first of your group. All kills qualified to the round of 8. What happened to my team? We lost in the round of 32.
Hey, I remember you teased me a lot 2 years ago. I think 2 years ago we still had Red, correct? I think it was Red, you, Turmo, and Harsten back then? In season 3?
Might have been, yes.
We can take
did I?
I'm pretty sure that Red played for us in season 3, and I think last year was the first year of Optimus.
Optimus, yeah.
Last year we definitely had the same lineup. But yeah, man, I said it all along. I think the boys have improved a lot. They're on good. I think Uturm was absolutely on fire.
Jona.
Oh, Jona played. Yeah, that's right. Then Red probably played in season 2, if I recall that correctly. Yeah, Jona, that's right. He plays Overwatch these days.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Okay. But yeah, did I give you a hard time? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can see on your face that you actually didn't enjoy it.
I mean, like, all memes aside, all by aside, like, in the end, obviously I like the guys, I want them to do well, but I love the guys from Team Sweden too and Team Germany. Like, it's all irrelevant in the end, but I'm just very happy for them.
The quality of play was there.
Yes.
I mean, like, we enjoyed some really cool games, and it's a really interesting and nice story to see Harsten just playing his heart out and getting that 4-0 against a really competitive Swedish team.
And made it look easy in the end. I mean, he was confident in every single game. Only that final game, one little slip up there in the end on Neon Violet, but then he still bounced back and he survived. I mean, give my fedora to Harsten.
All right, now there's only one spot left, and let's take a look at the bracket of Group USA.
Of course, we'll continue the matches tomorrow with the lower bracket first, and that's going to be a pretty hype match.
I think it's maybe something that we really didn't expect, as Germany dropping to the lower bracket instantly was something that nobody saw coming. But USA-Germany as a first game, I don't know. It's going to be quite a hectic best of 7, I feel.
I love how you said lower bracket.
I said
I love it, Fonka, showing mercy.
To the lower bracket of USA and Germany, and then, well, the winner will have to face against Sweden. So it either can be a rematch against Germany, or USA gets to win a game, gets to win a best of 7. And that would be, well, dropping quite low for Germany, considering they were in top 4 last year, and now maybe potentially last place in this group.
You never know. NIP is scary, but it's not over yet. You know, one thing I do want to add is that Sweden is one of the reasons why the Netherlands will not participate in the World Cup of football the upcoming summer.
Oh, really?
They beat us well, they didn't beat us, but they technically had more points, or they actually had the same amount of points, but a better goal average. So I feel like this is a tiny bit of a Dutch revenge on Sweden. I've got nothing but love for that country, but it's nice for us to get a win as well.
Okay, so now there's only one spot left and 3 days actually left of National Worlds before the finals here in Paris. And tomorrow, so it's going to start at 5 p.m. with 7 p.m. USA, Germany, and then the winner will face Sweden to take the last spot in the round of 8.
Yep. So tomorrow will be cool, and then of course Saturday and Sunday, guys. That's when the quarterfinals start. It's gonna be super hype. I'm super excited for the quarterfinals. You don't really want to think about it yet, while you still have one more day of group stage, especially tomorrow, because tomorrow is also unpredictable. But yeah, I'm happy with the results so far, and feeling good, Fonka, feeling good.
Oh, you should. I think Netherlands is in a really good spot, and I think we'll have some really cool matches in the round of 8 as well. So we'll be playing those Saturday and Sunday starting 7 p.m. and we should be doing the draw of the round of 8 tomorrow.
Oh, after the show?
At the end of the show. At the end of the show.
Are we gonna get an innocent hand here?
Well,
you mean another girl, or you mean Aromi? Because we used Aromi last time. last year.
How innocent is Aromi, though? What about those tweets? Can we dig them up?
Maybe he's not that innocent, but he's also the tournament director, so I don't know.
see.
But we'll decide. We'll
Benefit of the doubt.
maybe we tease it a little bit tomorrow, and we tell you. We will tell you.
Okay, so today we had an amazing day of StarCraft. I hope you enjoyed it. And I thank our partners again, Macherino, WinBHP, Blizzard, of course. And I think there's something going on right now on StarCraft Twitch channel at the PAX about the 20th anniversary.
Oh, yeah, I
so
saw,
you can go check it. There will be Susie, Smix, a lot of people. So enjoy your night and see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the last day of round of 16.